Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I'm Pac-Man here, and I'm Mighty the Armadillo here. We are back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as always. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of The Simpsons Hit and Run for the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. So, last time, that looks like we somehow managed able to barely get started with level 5. Well, not so much to be honest with you, Pac-Man, because after all, I did somehow manage able to grind for more of those coins, thanks to the forms of those wasp cameras I somehow managed to find, and on top of all that stuff though, we did manage able to tackle through, I would say about 3 missions roughly, so because of this though, at least I get some progressioning for the sake of the forms of level 5 in general, so... yeah, today for this video is the fact that we're about to continue exploring through level 5 by going through the forms within the next mission, which does manage able to take place somewhere in the Krusty Burger, but yeah, first things first though, I need to head over here, because, well, there's gonna be some different outfit I can probably change, and because of this though, as far as what the next mission requires us to, we need to transform into ourselves the American outfit. Get it? Because, you know, we are Americans and stuff like that. So as a result, though, we need to able to change to that particular outfit until you're able to actually get into the next mission. Because if you somehow talk to Krusty the Clown without even changing to a different costume, then you get able to pop over to the Moe's bar and then basically change the costume from that way. So... yeah, you probably get the idea of how this is going. So anyways though, let's go and get started with the next mission by popping back onto the forms of the Krusty Burger. And hopefully we should be able to find Krusty the Clown to tackle for the next mission.
Hello, famous American clown. I wish to ask a favor.
Everyone wants to wet their beaks.
I require information about trucks delivering evil cola. How can I get this classified data?
Sorry, Apu. I'm a drink-squeezy, punchy lowlife. You need a professional scumbag. Follow a cop until you find one. You'll have better luck if you know, look American.
Thank you, horrible man.
At least we've already changed into an American outfit look. So in this case, let's look for the glass and tackle through this little piggy. So in this case though, we need to follow the police to able to follow and try to find the criminal. So... yeah, I wonder what criminal we're going to be able to find, I wonder. But first off, we need to collect those donuts. To be more specifically, 21 of these donuts. So, yeah, you probably get the idea how this is going to turn out to be. So, yeah, today's day is, of course, the, what day is it today? I forgot. Don't you mean that today's day is, of course, the 23rd of May today, in this case in 2022 today, right? Oh, right, thank you, Pac-Man, thank you for reminding me on that part. So yeah, because basically though, is the fact that we probably should say this right now, that, well, it's about time that, Fall Guys has now finally managed to able to go its release date for not just by the forms within Nintendo Switch, but also the Xbox systems, ranging from Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and even PC, and heck, even the forms of... don't tell me I failed that. Yep, I failed that. I blame on the forms of that specific traffic over there, because, well, sometimes the vehicles can sometimes get in my way, so hopefully I'll try this again, but anyway, but in addition to those specific versions of Fall Guys, it's finally got themselves the release date, but in addition to that, they also managed able to decide to reveal the PlayStation 5 version, which is kind of surprising. Excuse me. So it's kind of surprising about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, because obviously we've now moved on to the next new generations and all that stuff, despite how most owners rarely trying to buy the PlayStation 5, because it seems pretty obvious that the PlayStation 5 is super hard to get, and it's bad enough that throughout the forms of almost 2 years roughly, that the sale records doesn't seem to able to increase that much because of the forms of that particular stalking issues. So yeah, because, you know, between the forms within the PlayStation 5 as well as the forms of Xbox Series X, that those specific devices in mind, that those devices are very, very difficult to own right now. Although, to be fair though, there are some of them are usually located in second-hand stores or something like that. So, at the very least, there is a chance that we can able to actually buy it, but it might be a bit too late from now on. Well, God knows until whenever we are able to actually hear some more info. In terms of Kingdom Hearts 4, because as far as I'm aware, that Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be made by a different Unreal Engine, in this case Unreal Engine 5, so it makes things a lot more, you know, crisper, as well as the forms of highly detailed visuals and all that stuff. But you know, you get the idea about the forms of that specific time worth noting for, so... Oh yeah, after I managed able to get every single donut, to be more specifically 21 donuts, basically I have to chase down the forms of that particular police car, so but unfortunately though, I think I somehow failed the mission, as you can probably tell from this point, so... But yeah, that's what I mean when it comes to later missions and beyond, it's gonna get a lot tougher at this rate, but yeah, sometimes though, because I have to keep on resetting most of the time, which as a result, it can be very ludicrous, mind you, because either way though, sometimes in later missions can get all over the place when it comes to difficulty, so... But anyway though, yeah, about what you're trying to mention about the fact that, you know, Fall Guys on other platforms now finally got the release date, including the PlayStation 5 version. Oh yeah, and no matter what though, it's going to be releasing it during the forms of this summer. In this case, next month in June. To be more specifically, June 21st. Gee, June is going to be the biggest month in terms of the forms of gaming industries. Like for example, we're getting the Mario Strikers Battle League Football, as well as the forms of Fall Guys, and even Sonic Origins, so yeah, I can totally right off the bat that June is going to be jam-packed with all these Nintendo Switch games and stuff like that. In addition to Fire Emblem Three Houses, Fire Emblem Warriors, Three Hopes and stuff like that, because I think that game is about to be out until June 24th, to be more specifically. But either way though, you probably get the idea about that, thanks to the forms of that particular Nintendo Direct in mind, so... Well, at least ever since during the course of February, so... But you know, you get the idea about that. So, and also another thing I would like to mention about this as well, that, I think, relatively speaking, we've only got about, 3 more days to go until My Little Pony Make Your Mark, Netflix animated special, is going to be releasing on Netflix. So, yeah, I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. Especially noticeable, we only got about roughly 4 more days to go until the video game adaptation will be releasing too. Yeah, you know what I mean with Maritime Bay Adventure, so yeah, you get the idea about that. And as a matter of fact though, that one thing we forgot to mention about this ever since during the course of the last video and stuff like that, well, despite the fact that, well, it's kind of unfortunate for this point today, that, unfortunately, though, we still come across into the forms of that stupid, lag going on around here, because, as far as I'm aware, because there's too much stuff on screen, I'm telling you, so...
Jiminy crickets!
But anyways, let's, talk to Snake right now, so I think it's gonna be somewhere... like, somewhere over there, roughly. Yeah, which I'm about to talk to him right now, so... to start the next mission. Although, before I do all that stuff though, there's gonna be a level gag somewhere, like taking a snapshot of this old man here, and we're about to leave immediately, so hopefully we should get started with the next mission by talking to Snake right here.
Hand over your wallet, dude. This is totally a mugging.
Oh, what good luck! A criminal!
Huh?
Well, surely a violent filth bag such as yourself could find out who is driving the black cola vans.
Well, I do have a connection at the DMV, but it will cost you. You have to pick up the litter for my community service.
It is a deal.
Deal. Now hand over your wallet.
Yes, yes, whatever.
Alright, so let's begin with the next mission, which... I will say that this mission is by far the hardest mission in the whole entire level, because as you can tell, Never Trust a Snake is pretty much the most difficult mission in level 5, because, although the first part isn't too bad though, but as far as the forms of the next segments of this mission goes, that basically it's gonna get a lot more annoying and tedious, because, well, as far as I'm aware, First of all is the fact that we need to get onto the vehicle, of course, and as you can tell, we need to follow that particular green vehicle right there, that somehow occasionally they just dropped 5 of those rubbish right here. But after we're done with that though, you're pretty much moving on to the next segment. Or in some cases though, if you realize about something that kind of feels a bit what makes this mission is so difficult for the first time players, is the fact that you notice with the time limit that we still need to rely on. Well, if you're about to approach on to the next segment, which is essentially segment 2, for the sake of the forms of this level, or in some cases this mission mind you, is that the timer will carry on without even just trying to able to add up. So generally speaking though, is the fact that you have to rush this, because if you somehow waste your time, especially noticeable if you made one wrong move, then basically you're essentially going to be able to fail this mission entirely. So yeah, I could totally see why a lot of people seem to have a lot of you know, struggles with this mission just because of this segment right there, that we're gonna have to able to explore around in the whole entire thing while trying to collect those rubbish and stuff like that. You know, think of like the Color Wars, except the fact that in the Color Wars, personally I found that mission very, very easy, whilst in here though, it is a bit tougher than it seems. So thus you can't really tell about the fact that, well, as far as I'm aware, that the radar might not actually be helpful sometimes, because sometimes it can actually lead you to some very awkward placements when it comes to trying to find those, you know, this godforsaken garbage and stuff like that. So, although to be fair though, because I'm sure that most people seem to already have their own frustration with this mission back in the day, although to be fair though, that might be seems the case. So
This is not good for my
anyway though, I suppose we should probably mention about this as well actually, that one thing we forgot to mention about this ever since and during the course of being Friday, that basically recently that we actually got ourselves our new Disney Plus movie, which is essentially Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. We haven't seen it yet, but hopefully we'll get around into it at some point, so that way we're able to give you our thoughts of the film, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, we'll do that by the end of this recording session, because as far as I'm aware, that, you guys even remember about the fact that as far as what Maxie has already mentioned, ever since about a few weeks ago, that basically he did manage to take a break for a little while for the sake of the forms of Kirby and the Forgotten Lands Let's Play. Well, turns out that for this week is going to be able to do the altered slightly when it comes to uploading schedules alike. Because you know what that means? It looks like that he will definitely be back on Kirby and the Forgotten Land at some point during the forms of, well, what else? The forms of, well, this coming Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, anyway, so unfortunately I failed this particular first attempt of this mission because I just couldn't figure out the actual layout for the sake of the forms of that particular garbage in mind. So, but again, you have to be fast on this though, because if you're too slow on this, then obviously you will be screwed no matter what. Especially noticeable how weird the AI for the actual vehicle sometimes can actually act out that way. So, either way though, that might be something worth noting for, so. Oh, and also another thing we'd like to mention about this as well, that recently, Disney and Pixar are already working on the next film coming in during the forms of next year in the likes of 2023. Because after all, that so far, well, usually we've already got one recently from the likes of the forms of this year so far, although there's also another one coming up in during at some point next month, or generally speaking about a couple of weeks now. So in this case though, we already had Turning Red as well as Lightyear. So as a result though, that the next film is going to be involved around on elements, so like something related to fire, ice, and you name the rest. So yeah, but either way though, I'm presuming that film will be released during at some point next year, so to be expected at this point, but we're really hoping that that particular thing itself, specifically with the forms of films every now and then, it's going to be usually just put in digital services alike, but even though it knows what it is when it comes to likely certain films these days. But,
Oh, I should sleep more.
yeah, I think that's as far as I can usually think about this for the sake of convenience, that is, so... Oh, and also another thing we'd like to mention is the fact that recently, assuming this is going to be, like, real and stuff like that, but apparently we actually got ourselves our new gameplay footage from the likes of the forms of Sonic Origins recently. Yeah, because it shows us some new gameplay details, especially noticeable with Super Sonic was in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, just like the forms of how it does it on the iPhone remake. So, and also with the menus, what the actual menus looks like, and even then, if you try to able to select something in Sonic Origins, that particular sound effect sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, for we've seen the actual footage of it anyway, because it's actually the exact same sound effect as they used from the likes of in Sonic Mania, so kinda interesting, all things considered. So, and also they've shown us the forms of the actual footage from the likes of the mission mode, and I will say, I'm very excited with the forms of mission mode, just because not only does it give you some multitude of different challenges you can able to tackle through, because even then though, it does remind me of the forms of Mega Man Powered Up when it comes to mission mode and stuff like that, despite the fact that, well, relatively speaking, that certain missions in Mega Man Powered Up is actually a bit tough, so yeah, you probably get the idea about that, so yeah, if you think we're done here, well, turns out you need to head back into DMV with a current time limit you currently on. So because of this though, yeah, there's no restoring time or additional time for this point because you have to be fast. So, because again, if you don't make it in nick of time, you have to restart this entire collective run with these kinds of rubbish all over again. So, yeah, it won't be that fun, especially noticeable. I can definitely see why. That this is one of the first 3 of one of the hardest missions in the game, just because of how, in fact, I know a lot of people get a lot frustrated with this mission, like, entirely. So, yeah, it's very understandable because, you know, you're not able to keep on collecting all kinds of, you know, garbage alike, but, yeah, you get the idea. So, as long as you would figure out the actual, the layout of the actual map, especially noticeable that thankfully those green arrows will directly tell you where you go. So as a result though, there we go. We've now finally made it to Snake. So as a result though, yeah.
My friend has the information at the DMV. Go pick it up. Pronto.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my violent associate.
But if you think this is done, well, we need to enter in here. And basically, we need to collect that specific item, which appears to be the folder. And then if you've done that, then obviously mission is fully completed for real. So, huzzah, and I don't need to do that mission ever again. Because let me tell you, that mission is, you know, pretty tough. So, let's move on.
Sir, this folder is empty. To rob me is one thing, but I never expected you to lie.
Dude, relax, okay? I've got the info you need. I just need help with a little more community service. Oh, I'm totally evil.
Oh, I should know better than to trust that demented chuckle. But okay.
Alright, so here we go with quick cash. So in this case though, we need to help Snake with his community services and then destroy the armored thing right there. And then every once in a while though is the fact that we're gonna be able to do multitasking basically in this mission. So some people might say that this mission might be tricky as well, due to the forms of how the fact that you have to put up with a lot of emphasis on avoiding a lot of traffic, and also at the same time though is the fact that you also need to rely on the forms of that particular, well, you know what I mean with the artificial intelligence for certain cars and all that stuff, but it knows what it is for the most part, so, oh, Jesus Louise. Oh, and another thing is worth mentioning for this point as well, since that we're going to be now driving onto the forms of Snake's car at this time, although the actual speed is actually really good, even for acceleration and like. However though, for toughness-wise, is the fact that it might be pretty fragile, just like the forms of how it does it on, let's just say a hover car and stuff like that, which I think we should probably mention more details about that and during at some point on this particular Wednesday. So, yeah, because it seems very obvious about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, we are definitely trying to catch up with the forms of the uploading schedules alike. So, And also, we're really hoping about the fact that our microphone doesn't go out of sync with the actual gameplay footage, because if it does though again, then obviously we're about to get ticked off from this point, so obviously we're going to lose the trail here, and then if you think we've done, turns out we need to head back, and I think we need to grab a reg, because obviously we are still smoking at this point, and unfortunately though, I've activated the hit and run, so this is not going to be that good, but regardless of such, we got the reg, so, oh goodness gracious, okay. That was definitely a close call right there. Although, nothing even compared when it comes to the forms of the later mission alike, that one of those later missions will able to force you to get into hit and run very easily. And as a result though, we probably get into more discussion about that whenever we get into the forms of the next level. So either way though, because as a result, that I'm basically almost nearly at the end for level 5. Until we move on to, potentially speaking, more of the hardest levels in the game, just because of the forms of the amount of missions you have to deal with right here. Well, as you can tell, that after we, you know, somehow managed to get to this point right here, we now need to destroy that particular vehicle, in this case, the armored car. And unfortunately, I've got busted again, so, whoops. But on the upside is the fact that the gauge is now completely empty, so yeah, that definitely seems the case right here. So anyways, let's go and chase after that particular armored car, and the only thing that's questionable about this mission though is the fact that you don't able to actually damage your car too many times, because obviously if you manage to run into any walls, or especially noticeable if you bash into any other vehicles or cars and whatever, chances are though that your car will automatically go into smoke, and then as a result though that you will able to actually get screwed over with this mission easily. Well, at least if you know what you're doing. So yeah, potentially speaking, it's definitely one of the trickier levels, or to be more specifically, the trickiest. And it's also worth noting for us the fact that this mission can be very slow sometimes, because you have to be so precise, and on top of all that stuff though, it doesn't deal that much damage if you're trying to collide the actual van and then try to force it to go into the actual walls. But it seems to be more specifically we are doing alright for the most part, I guess, but it's just the fact that we need to watch out so that we don't able to get our car exploded, because if you somehow manage to get the car exploded out of nowhere, and then basically though you will fail the mission. So because of that though, because otherwise I believe you'll lose coins as well, I guess. So oh Jesus Louise, he just managed to do a U-turn. Okay, this is not gonna be that good, but I need to hopefully try to get the reg. Oh my god, this is so nerve-wracking. Ah, darn it, that's gonna screw me up. Yep, it did screw me up, because obviously we failed the mission, so darn it all, you stupid armored car. Well, on the other hand though, we get able to try that mission all over again, so yeah, that kind of stinks, especially because, well, I'm almost there to actually just try to complete this particular mission, but it's just kind of unfortunate that the actual Snake's car is a bit fragile if you keep on getting hit by not only tons of vehicles, but also a lot of walls and all that stuff at the same time. But at the very least, I get some of my coins back at the very least, but you know, you get the idea about that little things itself has just been going for the sake of time. Although we would like to mention more details about something else entirely, but either way though, we are very happy about the fact that Fall Guys is now finally coming to the Switch at some point in next month. So yeah, that should be exciting. Although, here's the only questionable thing about this though, is that, of course, much like the forms of the majority of the Sonic games, to be more specifically, Sonic Forces, Team Sonic Racing, alongside with Sonic Colors Ultimate, unfortunately though, Fall Guys on the Switch, well, thankfully it still runs at the forms of, let's just say, 1080p, for the sake of the forms of docked mode. But as far as handheld is concerned, it only runs at 720p. But as far as frame rate goes, it's somehow managed to go into 30 FPS as opposed to the usual 60 FPS, unlike the forms of how it does it on other console versions between PC, PS4, as well as the forms of Xbox One and Xbox X or Xbox One X, and even Series S or Series X. So, because I know for the fact that if I've seen the actual detail reports of the forms of the quality standpoint of the game, that obviously that the advanced consoles between PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, well, usually relatively speaking, that those particular consoles will run very well for its frame rate and everything, so... But at least it might still look nice on the Switch version at the very least for, you know, Fall Guys in particular. So yeah, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Have you guys still managed to able to consider getting yourselves Fall Guys at some point in the future now? Because in addition to that though, we can now able to actually get ourselves the cross-play for between all three versions of Fall Guys. So yeah, it's actually pretty fantastic actually, especially about time that we can now finally play Fall Guys on the go. So yeah, about time they finally managed able to get the final release date of that particular version of Fall Guys. Especially noticeable about the fact that after such an amount of delays, because yeah, we haven't heard anything about it ever since in last year's February Nintendo Direct from the likes of 17th of February. So yeah, still about time to able to actually finally get the release date for it. So yeah, because I've seen a lot of streamings for you know what I mean, with Fall Guys for the sake of the forms of, I think they mostly play the PC version because obviously most people always play PC games now, especially noticeable with all these custom mods and all that stuff exists, so, but you know, you get the idea about that. In fact, kind of think about it, that I think this game does have mods out there, especially noticeable. There's a cool one that involves around in SpongeBob SquarePants in the actual Bikini Bottom environment. Yeah, that does look pretty cool from the actual aesthetics alike, because it almost kind of reminds me of, well, let's just say playing through Battle for Bikini Bottom, except the fact that with a GTA gameplay style. So yeah, that's actually very interesting, all things considered alike, so... Yeah, anyway though, another thing we would like to explain is the fact that, well, quite frankly though, we're pretty much almost done with the forms of that particular team rally for the actual emphasis on, you know what I mean, with Peach versus Bowser tour, because, well, sometimes we still get ourselves a bit of RMG, and most of the time that we keep on getting screwed over most of the time with all that, you know, stupid gacha moments again, and it's just, it's gonna get repetitive for me though, but at the very least though, maybe at some point in during the forms of in, when is the next tour event? I have no idea when is that. Do you mean likely on the 1st of June? Oh, yeah, thanks Pac-Man. So, yeah, I do apologize if my commentary is a little bit iffy, especially noticeable because, well, honestly though, it's just the fact that that's as far as we can able to talk about, and thus, the weather condition at this point right now is actually getting ridiculously hot. So, after we're done with this recording session though, we can pretty much turn on the fan and, also just trying to open up our windows just in case we'll let the fresh air in. So at the very least we'll able to actually do this as much as we can. So yeah, you see what I mean about the fact that this mission can be not only difficult but also very slow as well, just because, yeah, sometimes you always have to keep up with the forms of the armored car sometimes, because if you way up ahead than the actual armored car, then you lost track of yourself, and on top of all that stuff though, again, if you somehow manage to able to let your Snake's car get damaged a lot, especially noticeable if it starts smoking and if it starts to go on fire, then there's no way we can able to actually just to get a massive backup. So yeah, it's just a matter of the fact that you don't want to get screwed over loads of times. And not only that, sometimes you manage able to wander it off in the forms of some other places worth knowing for. Now, as far as I'm aware, that with the forms of this particular mission alike, or this mission, or in some cases though, this particular segment of the mission, that originally they were expecting to able to put ourselves the time limit by adding in 3 minutes, but it turns out, in reality though, the time limit doesn't exist on this segment, so a bit weird, especially noticeable. My guess is the fact that sometimes this particular level can get confusing at times if you manage able to get lost. So I understand about the fact that the reason why they do not include the actual time limit, because obviously you don't want to waste time for able to actually get confused and lost. So that seems very predicament. So well, I have no idea why I say things like that, because, well, aside from the fact that we're just a little bit too worried about the fact that, well, if our microphone gets all glitched up and all that stuff though, well, basically we'll just have to able to do the entire recording session again. I think it's mainly due to the fact that our laptop is actually getting super old, which I know we keep on saying this for this point, but I think we should probably continue that conversation about that. Assumingly if we're able to actually move on to the next level or something like that, so... Alright, so he should be almost down by then, so it's just a slight of a touch. Oh, nice! So now we can able to drive to Snake's hideout, so... Yeah, and thankfully the green arrows will tell me where am I supposed to be going. So, in this case though, it's just about... Whereabouts is it though? I know it's definitely up ahead, but let's get a feeling that yeah, let's just grab the reg just in case I don't wanna, you know, destroy the vehicle by complete accident. So yeah, just in case that you don't wanna able to risk yourself. So yeah, and I don't think you can able to actually grab that reg again that you've already collected. Oh god, we have to lose the tail.
Sweet acceleration.
Yeah, in this case we need to get away from Chief Wegum. So yeah, as much as we possibly could, without even getting too much emphasis on crashing, so... But hopefully, I will lose him, so, but at least we can able to actually rely on, you know, some nifty shortcuts, like... Ah, oh, darn it, we got hit and run again. But, thankfully, we've somehow managed to accomplish that task, but now we need to drive back into Snake's hideout again, while trying to avoid a lot of police cops, and thankfully we can able to actually do just that. So at least we can able to just, well, keep on drifting a little bit, and then just trying to do a lot of careful driving around here. But hopefully I'll be back for some extra stuff for later on. So where is it? Oh, there it is.
If you do not tell me who owns the cola trucks, then I will be forced to use profanity.
Okay, don't go nuts. Look, the cola trucks are registered to the museum.
The museum? What? Each level of this adventure is more exciting than the last. I have brought...
Alright, so mission completed. God, that took forever. Yeah, especially noticeable because, again, Snake's car is so delicate, so... And I believe we're now on to the last story mission, so in this case we have Bart Simpson right here. Oh, I wonder why, because, well, we're able to do some investigation, so let's get to it.
Oh, Mr. Bart, I have discovered that the evil cola is being made in the Springfield Museum.
But that closes in 5 minutes.
And my car is out of gas.
Just fill it up at the Quickie Mart.
At those prices? No way.
Fine, we'll take my car.
So yeah, let's get into Curious Curator. So in this case though, we need to drive to the museum, and then basically though is the fact that we need to catch somebody before it's too late. So yeah, because we need to figure out the clue of who's responsible for this crazy well, Burst Cola massacre. Yeah, so in this case though, we're gonna have to able to figure this out. So but if you think we've arrived at the museum just fine, just like, well, that, well, basically we now need to destroy that particular car because somehow he holds up with the key. Like, well, should I say, just managed to take a key and runs off with it. So my guess is the fact that he doesn't want to let us investigate in the museum. So another one of those destroy the vehicle segments at this point. So hopefully this won't be that long, especially noticeable. It won't be that difficult either, especially noticeable because thankfully we don't need to worry about that very delicate, you know, the actual toughness involved, so here and there. But regardless of such though, we still need to be very careful of a lot of traffic and yeah, you name the rest. So, oh jeez Louise. Okay, so let's get onto that particular little escalator part with that escalator ramp. So, what's cool about this is the fact that on the forms of this level, unlike in level 2, that basically we got ourselves the inflated balloons from the likes of the forms of not only Krusty the Clown, but also Itchy and Scratchy. So, yeah, this seems pretty cool though. And unfortunately I failed this mission because, well, for some reason I just keep on crashing into any walls for whatever reason, so... Whoops. But at the very least though, it won't be taking me too long though, unlike the forms of how it does it on the previous missions. So, you know, with the forms of mission 5 as well as mission 6, because good lord, those missions can be very lengthy. So, either way though, hopefully whenever we get to that at the very end of the game, then we'll sure enough we're able to actually get into a much more of a quicker pace or something like that. Well, depending on the forms of some of these missions can get a bit tougher. Yeah, it seems very understandable because again, for later progressions to come, then, you know, it gets a bit tough, so... Oh, and something's worth mentioning is the fact that, well, unfortunately though, for those of you really hoping to see The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD get ported over to the Switch, unfortunately though, it's not gonna happen sadly. I have no idea why I'd say it's not gonna happen though. It's most likely because we can't able to actually do it that way or something like that. Well, it's kinda hard to say, because we know for the fact that it has been a very long while since I actually mentioned something related to Zelda stuff, but hopefully we'll still get some Zelda games in action for the sake of the forms of this year in 2022, just because the ultimate goal is basically we need to release every single Zelda games in every single years, so as a result though, that they cannot afford to able to actually skip one, because, well, so far so good when it comes to the forms of the tracking for Zelda games within each and every single year releases. So as a result though, they do not delay a single year with it, so at the very least that's very acceptable. So at least we're hoping we'll get something related to Zelda for the sake of the forms of this year, because despite, you know, Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed until next year, so yeah, along with the forms of any other movies in general. So I should probably mention about this, I think, although, relatively speaking, I think we should save that conversation until maybe by the end of May, if we get enough time for able to actually decide able to mention about the forms of what the next Disney Pixar film is going to call it, which I know for the fact that it's all about the forms of the elements based off from, I don't know, fire, water, and ice. You know, just like any forms of how it does it on the forms of several other, like, elemental powers or something like that. Well, it's hard to tell, because it's currently in development, so... Oh, jeez, this is gonna get pretty serious right here. Especially, we accidentally got the hit and run again. But, hopefully you will get the chance that you would... Oh, that worked! Okay, so we'll just drive to the museum, and I think that should pretty much do it. So, but before we do all that stuff though, there's a cutscene to see.
I never thought I'd say this, but I'm actually excited to be going to a museum.
Shiva H. Vishnu! The cola is dripping from that meteor!
Cool, free deadly cola.
We did it! We destroyed a priceless archaeological artifact! Oh.
What we? I did all the driving.
Now let's find out who's behind all this strange cola business.
I know it's a cliche, but... Ay, caramba!
Kodos, look at these space ratings for foolish Earthlings.
What happened, Kang? Foolish Earthlings used to be the #1 reality show in the galaxy. Space viewers couldn't get enough of these humans and their behavior.
Our show is down in all key demos.
But our show concept was so perfect. We filmed these idiotic bipeds with hidden cameras and beam it into every television in the galaxy.
Cover your knockers!
These aliens have been secretly filming an intergalactic reality show in Springfield.
I knew there was a simple explanation.
I'm going to introduce the evil cola into the water supply. People will go mad.
I like it.
Then we distribute laser guns at the Squidport tourist area.
I like it.
The cola-maddened humans will go berserk,
I like it.
destroying themselves and their town.
Delivering big space ratings for foolish Earthlings.
We've got to prevent the aliens from putting laser guns in the hands of cola-drunk townspeople.
Why? That sounds hilarious. I'd watch that show.
I tell you what, you're a bad little boy.
Oh snap, it's those two aliens from the Simpsons show. Yeah, that could be only be one thing for this point, Pac-Man. That could be only be one little thing. So, I guess we pretty much done with level 5, basically. Despite the fact that we're still missing something here, like for example, the bonus mission, and 3 street races as usual, 2 collector cards, as well as the forms of 2 more vehicles, 2 more wasp cameras, and only 1 more level gag. So, yeah, I think suffice to say we'll pretty much end things off here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of The Simpsons Hit and Run. It's the fact that we're going to be going back into level 5 again, and hopefully I should able to 100%ing the entirety of level 5. So we'll see you guys until on Wednesday. Later fellas, see you then.